Hey guys, what's up? It's been a while since I've been out here, since the last presidential election cycle. And I'm not flip-flopping, I'm staying for Ron Paul. I like people who don't flip-flop, that's why I'm with him. But, you know, a lot of stuff going on in the political stage and the foreign policy stage and everything else, you know. Ron Paul's a lunatic because he doesn't want to go in and, you know, kill tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, you know, estimates. And that Iran's next door neighbor in Iraq there, that we killed up to 1 million innocent people for, what was it for? 9/11? No, that wasn't it. Weapons of mass destruction, and that's why we went in, but that wasn't it. What was the final reason it changed so much? Oh, because he killed like 250,000 of his own people with biological or chemical weapons, experimenting on them or something like that. So we went in and killed, you know, hundreds of thousands, maybe even 4 times as many as he did. Oh, that's justifiable. Okay, I got it. Sorry, I got confused there for a second, guys. Anyway, the news I want to cover today is a lot, but I want to start with this video by Rick Santorum. Let's watch this.
And now they're in the process of developing nuclear weapons, and it appears obvious to me that the administration is doing little to nothing. Now, I'm hopeful that some of the things we're seeing with respect to the nuclear program that the United States is involved with, which is, on occasion, scientists working on the nuclear program in Iran turn up dead. I think that's a wonderful thing. Candidly. I think we should send a very clear message that if you are a scientist from Russia or from North Korea or from Iran and you're going to work on the nuclear program to develop a nuclear bomb from Iran, you are not safe. And if people say, well, you can't go out and assassinate people, well, tell that to Milwaukee. Yeah. Okay? We've done it. We've done it for an American citizen. We can certainly do it for someone who's producing a nuclear bomb that can be dropped on the state of Israel or provides a nuclear shield for a country that will spread terrorism with impunity and change the face of the world.
Whoa, we got a presidential candidate out there saying that he hopes we're responsible for violating the sovereignty of another nation and murdering their scientists. He hopes that we're behind it, you know. It's pretty amazing. Welcome to Backwards Land. Where peacekeeping missions are, when we go in and murder a bunch of people and our people get murdered too. Our soldiers are put at risk and killed on a peacekeeping mission. That's not war. My gosh, people. When are we going to wake up as a nation? This just kills me. There's only one guy out there with any modicum of sense, and it's not a modicum, it's this massive mountain of sense that he has, and that's Ron Paul. Does anybody actually believe, first of all, Liam Panetta came out day before yesterday and said, you know, he's Secretary of Defense. He said, you know, just a little peon guy. He should have a clue. He said that Iran is not developing a nuclear weapon. You know, half of you guys out there are not going to believe me when I just said that because you've been programmed by the box, the tube, that it's an imminent danger to Israel and the United States that Ahmadinejad is developing a nuclear weapon. And even if he was, you know, there are other reasons than wiping Israel off the map or attacking us with it, which he doesn't have a way to deliver it to us, but he could bring it across the border because, you know, they're wide open. Maybe he wants some more respect on the world stage, you know. He took a look at his neighbor and he's like, you know, my oil, first of all, he's like, my oil gave me respect on, the country's oil gave us respect on the world stage for many, many years. We didn't need to think about or pursue a nuclear weapon. And then he sees what goes on next door, and he's like, dude, you know. And then he looks at Pakistan, who's got nukes. He looks at Israel, who's got nukes. He looks at North Korea, that's got nukes. You know, North Korea isn't real close to him, but pretty close. And he's like, you know, I got all these people around me got nukes. Maybe I'd like to protect myself. Peace through strength. You know, that seems to be okay for America and everybody else in the world. Why can't it be for me? Folks, I'm not a fan of Ahmadinejad. I just don't believe that he's going to nuke anybody if he got the nuke, which he's not got because Leon Panetta said that he's not developing it. Terror! War! Iran and nukes! What are we, man? A bunch of freaking cowards now? You know, this is the greatest country in the world. We have the strongest military in the world. And the American people are a bunch of little sissy pansies, man, running around, afraid of everything. Let the TSA search you. TSA feel you up, you know? It's just, it's backwards land. I seriously, I'm frustrated is what it is. Do you think that Ahmadinejad is going to destroy his country by attacking anybody with a nuclear weapon? Think about it. Most rulers by their very nature crave power. What would happen if he attacked Israel? Well, China wouldn't back him up if he preemptively attacked. Russia wouldn't back him up if he preemptively attacked. That would be a freaking PR disaster for both of those countries. So arguably he would have the entire world on his back. Hopefully not retaliating with nukes. Okay, I would hope that we would have enough sense not to do that. But Iran as we know it today would be no more. He would have nothing to rule. And Ron Paul's a nut for pointing that out. He's also a nut for pointing out that, you know, these people don't hate us because we're free. They hate us because we play in their freaking sandbox. You know, we've deposed at least 2 leaders in Iraq and at least 2 leaders in Iran. Well, we haven't. The CIA has a secret organization that is answerable to almost nobody. I don't get it, guys. I really don't. And I don't get the masses, the American people. Believing what comes across to them on that tube by the prostitute media, mainstream media, is bastardized, bought and paid for, unarguably. Trying to demonize Ron Paul. You know, it's the Gandhi thing, man. First they ignore you. They tried that. Fail. Then they ridicule you. They tried that. Fail. Then they attack you. They tried that. Fail. Then you win. So he comes in 3rd in Iowa. Well, that was a fluke. That was a fluke. Whatever. Comes in 2nd in New Hampshire. Whoa, what's going on here? How can American people actually gravitate to the message of freedom? You know, and I saw him attacking him on the other day to his face, and he responded magnificently. You know, why? Because he's the boss. Okay? He's very presidential. And they're like, okay, I can't remember the exact number, but it's like, you know, you put 427 pieces of legislature out, or 422 or 62 or whatever it is, and only one of them's passed. Well, let's look at the one that passed. And let's look at his message and all the other legislation that he's put out. His message is always on the side of the Constitution. The one that passed was the audit of the Fed, which is a very important piece of legislation to make them more transparent and to make them answerable to the American people. You know, before Ron Paul, nobody knew that the Fed was a private Federal Reserve. It's not actually what the name says. It's kind of like the Patriot Act. What's patriotic about giving up your rights? But all of his legislation that he's tried to get through are on the side of the Constitution. It's legislation that promotes freedom and liberty. And let's be honest, folks, our government does not want freedom and liberty promoted. Why? Because it dilutes the power that they have stolen from the people. You know, how many people out there, probably almost everybody knows somebody that has been promoted in their job. And they got manageritis. And they started throwing their weight around, this, that, and the other. Well, you try to take some of that power back from them, and they will fight. They'll claw and scratch to try to keep that power. Well, that's exactly what our government is doing, folks. That's why they're not in favor of his legislation, because it limits their power that they have hijacked from the American people. We the people are no longer we the people. We are, and I don't know. I don't understand how people don't get it. I don't understand how people don't gravitate to Ron Paul, and they do in masses, but I don't understand how they don't do it in droves. The entire country just... Exit polls showed in New Hampshire that the 18 to 29 crowd, he garnered more than 50% of that vote. Why? Well, for one thing, young people get freedom. They get it. They understand freedom. They want freedom. They want the freedoms that their parents had and their grandparents had. They want those freedoms back. They don't want Big Brother spying on them. They don't want Big Brother listening to their conversations. They don't want street cameras on every corner, which is happening all throughout the nation. They don't want to go through a yellow light and get a ticket in the mail that they have to pay. I'm covering a lot of stuff here. But they're also the ones that are in the age group that has to go and fight in these wars and put their lives at risk for unjust causes. That's why Ron Paul gets more military donations than all the other candidates combined. But if you listen to the mainstream media, it's because they're young and they don't really understand the political process and foreign policy and all these different things. It's amazing to me. And then, you know, back to the Santorum video, he bragged that we went in and killed Anwar al-Awlaki. Anwar al-Awlaki, I think that's right. And an American citizen that we just took out. You know, we could, with no proof, they suspected him of terrorism. They suspected him with working with terrorists. If they had proof, why didn't they try him in absence? It's been done all throughout American history where we've tried people in absence. Okay? Try him in absence. Give him his day in court. If he shows up, he shows up. If he doesn't, that's his loss. But you don't just go in and murder American. And look at the precedents it's set. On the heels of that, within a couple of months, we got the NDAA coming through. Now they can detain American citizens under suspecting them as being terrorists. Habeas corpus, pew, gone. Posse comitatus, pew, gone. The military can come in, grab you out of your house, take you. And people say, well, that's not a problem. I ain't got nothing to hide. I don't care. They're spying on me. I don't got. You know what, guys? I talk sexy stuff to my wife. I don't want some government perv peeking through my keyhole or listening in on my... I'm not doing anything illegal. But it's none of their business, guys. We have something called a Fourth Amendment, which protects our right to privacy. Welcome to Backwards Land. Disagreeing with the government is not a crime. Pointing out the tyranny within our government is not a crime. Unless you're in the government being pointed at as perpetrators of that tyranny. Look at Fast and Furious. This should be on every front page of every newspaper every day. It should be the opening story on, or one of the opening stories in every newscast on the tube every day. But you know what? That was a few months ago, John. Why are you talking about that? You know, we got the primaries going on. We got, you know, Iran nuclear weapons, which Leon Panetta said that they're not developing. They want nuclear power for some reason. I don't know why they would want nuclear power. Just backwards land. You know what? The American people need to break this left-right paradigm. We've got two heads, left and the right, on one snake. They use two different avenues to get to the same destination. When this hand's in power, they use this because this percentage of the population will allow them to get away with these issues to stifle their freedoms and take away their rights. And when this one's in power, they use these issues because this segment of the population will allow that. They have the same ends. And there's one man that always is on the side of freedom and liberty, and that's Ron Paul. But he's a lunatic. He's a lunatic because he doesn't want a nation built. He's a lunatic because he wants to practice non-interventionism, not isolationism, but non-interventionism, where we have many, many friends, be friends with all, trade with all, but don't get tangled up in these alliances. And we don't even listen to our allies. Netanyahu was on the floor of Congress several months ago saying, you know what, I'm paraphrasing here, we value our alliance with America, but we don't want you guys on our soil or fighting our wars. We can take care of our own house. You know what? That's good advice. We need to take care of our own house. And quit intervening in the affairs of other sovereign nations. Protecting our interests. You know what? We can protect our interests by staying at home and trading with people and bringing jobs back to America. But no, we're spending, and if nobody's noticed, we're bankrupt. We're trillions of dollars in debt. Federal Reserve's printing money like freaking monopoly money. Devaluing our currency left and right. You know, it's welcome to backwards land. I don't get how they can demonize Ron Paul. The man is not a flip-flopper. Every single candidate on the GOP side and our sitting president has been on both sides of a plethora of issues. Well, I was against the Second Amendment or for gun control, and now I'm for the Second Amendment and not for gun control. I was against. Give me a freaking break, man. I guess Americans just love to be lied to. We love to be suckered, and it happens every election cycle. We listen to these people. We believe their rhetoric. We don't look at their voting records. We don't look at their past. We don't look at their stances on these issues, and we just believe what they say. They lie to us 85-90% of the time, and we're like, well, you know, he's changed his mind on that, so, you know, he was for that for 36 years. Now he's changed his mind on it. He thinks the way I do. And it's both sides of the aisle, guys. Like I said, it's two heads of the same snake. I'm rambling. I'm very disjointed tonight. I'm frustrated. But, you know, wake up, people. Research Ron Paul. Look at what he said for the last 30 plus years. Look at his voting record for the last 30 plus years. He's been consistent on every single issue. Every single issue. From taxation to foreign policy to economic policy. Everything. Across the board. He's been consistent. He's not flipped. He's not flopped. Research him. Look at him. Use your mind, the critical thinking that has been siphoned out of this country. Free your mind, guys.